What if Gojo had to kill Yuji to stop Sukuna in episode 1? Can you imagine how that would go? Welcome to today's What If episode, and we have an exciting topic for us to look at. Let's dive right into it. If Gojo had to stop Sukuna by killing Yuji in the first episode, what he did had to be pretty bad, right? Can you imagine the world's strongest sorcerer feeling like he has no other choice than to put Yuji down? I mean, I get it. He would have to do something extremely crazy. We all knew Yuji was never meant to be a sorcerer, but from the moment he took Sukuna's finger, his life changed. In the original timeline, Yuji's incredible willpower allowed him to suppress Sukuna, the king of curses. This singular act of mental fortitude convinced Satoru Gojo to spare his life, setting in motion the entire series we know. Before diving into our alternate reality, let's examine what exactly happened in this series. When Megumi Fushiguro tracked a high-grade cursed object to Yuji's school, everything changed. This object, Sukuna's mummified finger, became lunch for Yuji when he made the decision to protect his friends. Now cut back to the present. Now let's get to our alternate timeline. The moment Yuji consumes Sukuna's finger, everything begins the same. The sudden rush of cursed energy, Yuji's body convulsing as Sukuna's consciousness awakens. But this time, something is different. Sukuna emerges as Yuji's body transforms. Black markings spread across his skin. Sukuna examines the body as soon as he comes to the surface, remarking that for such a strong vessel, Yuji has a weak mind. Now I know our original timeline Yuji is rolling wherever he is, but let's go with it. In this timeline, Yuji's consciousness struggles with Sukuna like the original timeline. He attempts to take his body back, but Sukuna is far too strong. Sukuna suppresses Yuji, drowning him out permanently. Megumi Fushiguro realizes the danger immediately. His divine dogs dissipate as he prepares his strongest techniques. He knows that this is not Itadori anymore, and this slight hesitation for talking could get him killed. Sukuna's laughter fills the abandoned school building as he jumps on the railing, cackling like a madman. He examines the body, remarking on the extraordinary physical potential. That's right, Yuji is still a jacked cheat code here too. Even if Yuji is untrained in cursed techniques, Sukuna raises a hand, feeling the cursed energy flow through Yuji's enhanced physique. The first demonstration of Sukuna's power reduces half the school building to rubble. Concrete and steel fold like paper as a casual swing of his arm unleashes devastating cursed energy. The special grade curse that threatened Yuji's friends disintegrates instantly, not even worthy of being called prey. Megumi stands his ground, summoning his strongest Shikigami. Nue! The flying beast materializes, but Sukuna dismisses it with contempt. He quickly notices the Shikigami that Megumi creates. This was one of the 10 shadows, a technique that he had been coveting for years. Standing right in front of him in this untrained pup, Megumi knows he's outmatched. Even with just one finger's worth of power, Sukuna in full control presents a threat beyond his capabilities. His only hope is to stall until backup arrives. What he doesn't know is that help is already on the way. Megumi staggers backwards as Sukuna's presence fully manifests. It almost feels like the air grows heavy with malice as Sukuna arrives. Megumi knows he can't win this fight. It was nighttime at the school and only Yuji's friends were there. With a single leap, Sukuna crashes through the remaining walls and bounds towards the city center, moving with inhuman speed. Each jump covers impossible distances, leaving Megumi behind in seconds. Megumi summons his fastest Shikigami, Divine Dog! But even his tracking familiar can barely keep pace. Sukuna lands on a rooftop, surveying what to him is a new world, a feast for the taking. Traffic flows beneath him. Pedestrians walk unaware of the predator above them. Humans have always been his prey. His first attack strikes a power station, plunging several city blocks into darkness. Citizens below react with confusion. A blackout, they assume, nothing more. Sukuna descends into the streets, with cursed energy radiating from his body. Cars swerve to avoid him, crashing into storefronts. People scatter, unable to comprehend what they're seeing. A teenager with strange markings. A nearby building crumbles. Glass rains down on the street. Screams fill the air as people run from a danger most can't even perceive properly. To ordinary humans, it appears as if structures are collapsing spontaneously, disasters striking without cause. Emergency services respond quickly. Police cars, ambulances, fire trucks converging on the chaos. None stand a chance. Sukuna casually flicks a finger, sending a police car tumbling through the air. Megumi finally catches up to him, deciding to take on Sukuna. The battle lasts a whole 2 minutes before he is down. Even at the power of one finger, Sukuna is still the most dangerous cursed creature ever. Satoru Gojo arrives at the scene and quickly gets to work. The strongest jujutsu sorcerer of the modern era stepped through the wreckage of the school as if walking through a park. But his relaxed demeanor shifts when he assesses the situation. This isn't what he expected to find. In the canonical timeline, Gojo arrives to witness Yuji's miracle, a human controlling Sukuna. Here, he arrives to witness the opposite, Sukuna fully in control, Megumi battered and exhausted, and destruction spreading by the second. Gojo appears right where Megumi is about to fall to the ground to help him. He starts by lifting his blindfold to reveal his 6 eyes as he remarks that this is unfortunate. Sukuna turns, sensing the overwhelming power standing before him. Even with his arrogance, the King of Curses recognizes this opponent is different. He quickly realizes that this is a Gojo, the 6 Eyes and Limitless clan. They were a pest to him in his day, and he anticipates an interesting fight here. Gojo analyzes the situation in a very short time. This isn't a human who's consumed a cursed object anymore. This is Sukuna himself, wearing a human vessel. The very scenario the Jujutsu High Council feared. The scenario that warranted immediate execution. Gojo weighs his options. In another world, he might have had a field day with a potential vessel of Sukuna. Very few could cause a calamity like him and remain unscathed. This boy showed potential. If only he wasn't being used as a biological weapon right now. If only he was able to suppress him. Gojo immediately starts by removing his hands from his pockets. The space around them distorts as Gojo activates his limitless technique. The decision has been made. Gojo takes off half of his blindfold as things start to heat up. The air crackles with tension as the two titans face off amidst the rubble. Sukuna, even with just 1 finger's worth of power, radiates malevolent, cursed energy that would paralyze ordinary sorcerers. Gojo remains rooted as he is equally just as powerful, especially with Sukuna not at the height of his power. The battle begins without warning. Sukuna launches forward with speed that would be invisible to normal eyes. His attack, aimed at Gojo's throat, meets nothing but air as the space between them warps and distorts. Limitless. Gojo explains casually, the infinity between us means you'll never actually reach me. Gojo launches towards Sukuna, grabbing him by the throat as he tosses him back to the direction of the school. Gojo is trying to take him away from the residential areas, making them end up in the rubble of the abandoned school building. Sukuna dusts the rubble from his body as he changes his tactics immediately. He begins by channeling cursed energy through Yuji's already exceptional physique. The ground fractures beneath his feet as he launches a flurry of attacks, each one testing Gojo's infinity for weaknesses. But this isn't the Shibuya incident Sukuna. The Sukuna in the other timeline had months to study the modern era. A newly awakened Sukuna still retains some if not all of his impatience and rash decision-making. Gojo deflects each attack effortlessly. He cues up purple. The word hangs in the air for a split second before the attack shoots off. Sukuna recognizes the danger too late. The combination of limitless techniques, red, blue, and the resulting purple, creates an attack that even he cannot fully evade in this weakened state. The destructive blast tears through the air, vaporizing everything in its path. Sukuna attempts to counter with his own technique, a rudimentary fire arrow that, while devastating against normal opponents, dissipates against Gojo's defenses. The battle escalates as Sukuna pushes Yuji's body beyond human limits. Blood vessels burst as he channels more cursed energy than the vessel can safely contain. Black flames erupt from his hands as he attempts to unleash techniques that require more power than he currently possesses. With one final, desperate attack, Sukuna lunges forward, only to freeze in mid-air as Gojo activates domain expansion, Infinite Void. The world around them transforms into Gojo's domain, an endless expanse of information overload that paralyzes even the King of Curses. In this space, where Gojo's techniques reach perfection, the outcome is already decided. Purple. The domain collapses shortly after, and with it, Yuji's body falls lifeless to the ground. His entire left side disintegrated by Gojo's technique. The black markings fade from his body, and Sukuna is silenced, for now. Dawn breaks over the destroyed school grounds. Jujutsu High officials arrive to secure the area. Civilians' memories will be altered. They remember a gas explosion, a structural failure, anything but the truth. Gojo stands over Yuji's body, his blindfold back in place. The boy looks peaceful now, no trace of Sukuna's influence remaining, just just a teenager. Principal Yaga acknowledges Gojo as he approaches. The council will be pleased. He says Gojo did the right thing in taking down the threat. Gojo doesn't respond. His mind isn't here. It's trapped between memories and possibilities. When everyone moves far enough away, he kneels beside Yuji's body. The boy looks peaceful now, like he's merely sleeping. No trace remains of Sukuna's markings or malevolent presence. Gojo whispers as he gently closes Yuji's still open eyes. He recalls how he failed to protect Riko, the star plasma vessel. Megumi watches from a distance, processing what he witnessed. In the main timeline, this moment formed the beginning of his friendship with Yuji, a bond that would change them both. Here is just another reminder of the harsh reality of the Jujutsu world. What about Sukuna's finger? Megumi finally asks. Gojo reaches into his pocket and produces the cursed object, somehow recovered intact from the battle. Special grade cursed objects cannot be destroyed by conventional means. Yaga tries to convince Gojo that he did what was necessary, but Gojo doesn't respond. His mind calculates possibilities. What could have been if the boy had been stronger, if Sukuna had been weaker, if circumstances had been different? Gojo finally speaks as he tells them to make sure Yuji is buried properly, stating that he died fighting a curse and he deserves that much. As Jujutsu sorcerers clean up the aftermath, the true consequences of this altered timeline begin to unfold. Without Yuji Itadori, without a vessel capable of containing Sukuna, the entire foundation of Jujutsu Kaisen's story shifts dramatically. Megumi returns to Jujutsu High alone. Yuji's absence ensures the story is never the same. The immediate crisis has been averted. 3 months after Sukuna's defeat, Jujutsu High continues with only 2 first-year students, Megumi Fushiguro and Nobara Kugisaki. Without Yuji's presence, their dynamic is completely different. They are colleagues, not friends. Efficient, but missing that crucial bond that would have made them family. Gojo continues to instruct Megumi as his divine dogs disappear after a failed summoning. Without Yuji's influence, Megumi's development takes a more isolated path. His power is growing, but something crucial is missing. Meanwhile, across the city, a different kind of meeting is taking place. Mahito, Jogo, and Kenjaku, wearing Geto's face, gather in darkness, plotting around a map marked with the locations of Sukuna's remaining fingers. They talk about a new vessel. They already have one in mind. Kenjaku explains that the vessel needs proper preparation. Their plan unfolds with precision, all to position the perfect trap. Back at Jujutsu High, Gojo stands before Principal Yaga, arms crossed as they begin to discuss a growing concern. Sukuna's fingers have been vanishing all around the country. The evidence board behind them shows multiple curse-related incidents, with each one seemingly random. Only when mapped together does the pattern show what is really going on. At this point, the brass of the Jujutsu High and Gojo are still unaware of the existence of special grade spirits like Mahito and Haname. 1 month later, Megumi and Nobara are deployed to investigate a suspected Sukuna finger in an abandoned warehouse district. Gojo is handling an incident across town, exactly as planned. Megumi and Nobara approach the warehouse and the trap springs. Barrier techniques activate, cutting off escape and communication. Cursed users emerge from shadows, forcing Megumi and Nobara to fight. Divine dogs tear through enemies while Nobara puts up a very good fight. But the plan is months in the making and has been well crafted. As they continue to defeat their opponents, more appear. Then the real players enter. Mahito slips through the barrier as if they don't exist, and Kenjaku, wearing Geto's face, follows as well. Mahito quickly subdues him with ease. Megumi begins to struggle against bindings as Nobara is still fighting some sorcerers. Mahito laughs in this eerie way that sends chills down your spine. They force Megumi to his knees. Nobara fights desperately to reach him, but Mahito holds her back. Kenjaku approaches with a finger, the very thing they came here to retrieve. They force the finger past Megumi's throat and instantly, black markings spread across his skin, similar to Yuji's pattern. Megumi fights with everything he has. For a moment, it seems he might succeed where Yuji failed in this timeline. Nobara struggles to break free, but she is unable to. Everybody watches as the battle of the mind begins with Megumi fighting to surpass Sukuna. Eventually, Sukuna's laughter comes to the surface through Megumi. What happens next changes everything. With speed impossible to track, Megumi's hand, now controlled by Sukuna, plunges through Nobara's chest. Blood sprays across both their faces as her eyes widen in shock. Megumi's voice breaks through, horror in his eyes as he watches what his own hand has done. Sukuna counters, pushing Megumi's consciousness deeper down. This vessel has so much more potential than the last one, he muses to himself. Nobara collapses, the life fading from her eyes as Sukuna fully manifests through Megumi's body. The black markings stabilize, his eyes transforming to Sukuna's distinctive pattern. The King of Curses was back. When Gojo arrives at the warehouse powerhouse district, the devastation hits. This mission went sideways. When Nobara called him, he couldn't hear anything she was saying. He only heard someone cough once, but that was it. Now he knew why. The buildings were reduced to rubble, cursed energy saturating the air, and his students were nowhere to be found. Then he sees her, Nobara, lying in a pool of blood, with her hammer still clutched in their fingers. For a split second, Gojo Satoru freezes. First Yuji, now Nobara. His guilt was raging inside of him, but there's no time for grief. The cursed energy signature nearby was unmistakably Sukuna. If Nobara was here, then he could almost say for certain that Megumi was taken over. His eyes could tell him as much already, but he was still in denial. Sukuna stands on top of the highest remaining structure in the area as Megumi's body continues to transform by his possession. The black markings have formed a pattern unlike what we saw with Yuji. Gojo doesn't waste breath on words. The space between them distorts as he activates Limitless, closing the distance instantly. The battle erupts with a collision that shatters every remaining window in the district. Unlike the previous confrontation, this isn't one-sided. Sukuna and Megumi's body isn't just operating with one finger's worth of power. He's utilizing Megumi's 10 Shadows technique, amplified by his own monstrous cursed energy. Sukuna laughs as he parries Gojo's strikes with shadow constructs. He summons divine dogs, but they're larger, more vicious. Gojo dispels them with a single technique. The cursed energy technique creates a powerful, attractive force, pulling the corrupted Shikigami into nothingness. But something's different about Gojo this time. The playfulness is gone. The casual confidence had been replaced by something else. A burst of speed puts him directly in front of Sukuna, hand closing around Megumi's throat. Sukuna smiles with Megumi's face, but something flickers behind the eyes. Confusion, resistance. For just a moment, Megumi's consciousness surfaces. Sensei. Megumi's voice breaks through. Gojo's grip loosens just slightly, and Sukuna capitalizes. Shadows erupt from beneath, impaling Gojo through the shoulder, or they would have if Limitless hadn't activated automatically. Sukuna continues to taunt Gojo as he lets him know that Megumi is still there, and to his surprise, he still fights him. Gojo jumps back as Sukuna forms a hand sign Gojo recognizes immediately. The air tears open as Megumi's ultimate Shikigami begins to manifest. Mahoraga, the divine general of 8 horizons, the unstoppable Shikigami that no 10 Shadows user has ever tamed. Under normal circumstances, summoning Mahoraga is a double-edged sword. It attacks indiscriminately, including the summoner, but Sukuna's control is different. His overwhelming power combined with Megumi's technique creates something unprecedented. Mahoraga emerges fully, its wheels spinning rapidly as it adapts to reality. Mahoraga attacks with speed that challenges even Gojo. For the first time, we see the strongest sorcerer truly defensive, forced to use Limitless at its maximum capacity just to avoid being cut in half. Gojo acknowledges the attack as blood trickles from a small cut on his cheek. Something got through his perfect defense. Deep within Megumi's consciousness, something stirs. Megumi has years of experience with cursed spirits. His mental fortitude, his tactical mind, his stubborn will had all become assets in the internal war that was now raging. And most importantly, unlike in the original timeline, there's something Sukuna couldn't take from him in this timeline, his sister. In the main timeline, to break Megumi, Sukuna killed Sumiki, but here, that leverage doesn't exist. Her safety remains his anchor, and his will to protect her becomes the weapon that fights back against Sukuna's domination. As Mahoraga and Gojo clash, creating shockwaves that level what remains of the district, Sukuna feels something slipping. Maintaining control becomes harder. Megumi's consciousness begins fighting back with force. Sukuna is forced to divide his attention between controlling Mahoraga and suppressing Megumi. Gojo notices the shift immediately. Mahoraga's attacks are becoming less coordinated and Sukuna's borrowed body movements are becoming inconsistent. The battle reaches its climax as Mahoraga swings its blade directly at Gojo's heart. This time, Gojo doesn't dodge. He activates his domain expansion, Infinite Void. Reality warps around them, transforming into Gojo's domain. Endless information overwhelming the senses, paralyzing everything within. Sukuna, Megumi, even Mahoraga, all caught in infinite awareness. For one crucial second, Megumi seizes control. Not full control, but enough to create a critical opening. Enough to weaken Sukuna's grip on Mahoraga. Gojo recognizes the moment instantly as he dispels his domain and immediately launches his ultimate attack, Purple. The combination of red, blue, and that creates a beam of destruction capable of tearing through space itself. It strikes Mahoraga first, then continues through to hit Sukuna and Megumi's body. The attack is perfectly calibrated. Maximum damage to Sukuna's spiritual presence, minimum damage to Megumi's physical form. When the light fades, Megumi collapses to his knees. The black markings recede from his skin. Mahoraga, instead of disappearing, stands frozen in place. The Shikigami turns towards him, no longer hostile, and kneels in recognition. The ritual of exercising Mahoraga was never completed as Sukuna was defeated, but as the victor, Mahoraga's allegiance switches to Gojo in a surprising twist. As Megumi struggles to stand, Mahoraga moves to support him, now bound to Gojo as its new master in a way no previous Ten Shadows user ever accomplished. In the battle's aftermath, as medical teams arrive to treat Megumi and recover Nobara's body, something has fundamentally changed in the Jujutsu world. Sukuna is still at large, but for now, his plans have been ruined. If Gojo had to kill Yuji in the first episode, this would have sped up Sukuna's ultimate plans to take over Megumi's body. I'm sure the Jujutsu world is not ready for that nightmare.